Good day, classmate. I am Manager S. Fernando and I will be reporting organizational structure and control. Research shows that organizational structure and the controls that are part of it affect firm performance. In particular, when the firm's strategy isn't matched with the most appropriate structure and controls, performance declines. An ineffective match between strategy and structure is thought to account for Zurich Financial Services' recent performance declines. Recognizing this mismatch, the firm is restructuring its business portfolio to focus on its core non-life insurance programs. Less diversification and a renewed concentration on its core business area are expected to result in a match between corporate level strategy and structure. Even though mismatches between strategy and structure do occur, such as the one at Zurich Financial Services, research evidence suggests that managers try to act rationally when forming or changing their firm structure. First, let us define what is organizational structure. Organizational structure specifies the firm's formal reporting relationships, procedures, controls, and authority and decision-making processes. Developing an organizational structure that effectively supports the firm's strategy is difficult, especially because of the uncertainty or unpredictable variation about cause-effect relationships in the global economy's rapidly changing and dynamic competitive environments. When structure elements, reporting relationships, procedures, and so forth are properly aligned with one another, that structure facilitates effective implementation of the firm's strategies. Organizational structure is a critical component of effective strategy implementation process. What is organizational control? Organizational controls are an important aspect of structure. It guides the use of strategy, indicates how to compare actual results with expected results, and suggests corrective actions to take when the difference between actual and expected result is unacceptable. The fewer the differences between actual and expected outcomes, the more effective are the organization's controls. It is hard for the company to successfully exploit its competitive advantages without effective organizational controls. Properly designed organizational controls provide clear insights regarding behaviors that enhance firm performance. Firms rely on the strategic controls and financial controls as part of their structure to support use of their strategies. Next, strategic controls. Strategic controls are largely subjective criteria intended to verify the firm is using appropriate strategies for the conditions in the external environment and the company's competitive advantages. Thus, strategic controls are concerned with examining the fit between what the firm might do and what it can do. Effective strategic controls help the firm understand what it takes to be successful. Strategic controls demand rich communications between managers responsible for using them to judge the firm performance and those with primary responsibility for implementing the firm's strategies, such as middle and first level managers. These frequent exchanges are both formal and informal in nature. Next is effective timing of structural change at Eastman Chemical Company. Eastman Chemical Company was originally a division of Eastman Kodak Company. A supplier of photographic materials, Eastman Chemical now produces a variety of consumer goods, some of which are featured here. The organizational controls that led to Eastman Chemical's independence from its parent company allow each company to better handle its own market complexities and customer needs. So, here is the brief history how Eastman Chemical Company um, do a structural change in their company. Eastman Chemical Company was founded in 1920 to supply basic photographic materials to Eastman Kodak Company. ECC was spun off and became an independently traded public company in 1994. A global firm with sales exceeding 5 billion annually and production operations in 17 countries. ECC manufactures and markets more than 1,200 plastics, chemicals, and fibers products. Collectively, this array of products and their success has resulted in ECC becoming the world's largest supplier of polyester plastic for packaging, a leading supplier of coatings, raw materials, specialty chemicals and plastics, and a major supplier of cellulose acetate fibers and basic chemicals. On September 1999, ECC announced that it had created two major business groups, one for its polymers business and one for its chemical business. From 1994 until 1999, the organization, ECC, had operated through a functional structure. However, the functional structure was no longer capable of dealing with the firm's increasing product and market complexity and diversity. With the new structure, each business group was given direct responsibility for manufacturing, sales and pricing, and product management decisions. The polymers and chemical businesses were each to operate with an independent set of organizational functions. ECC structure was changed again in 2002. In this instance, 1994's product divisions were changed to create the Eastman Division and Voridian Division. The purpose of this structural change was to allow ECC to strategically focus on the unique needs of individual markets. The Eastman Division consists of three product segments: coatings, adhesives, specialty polymers and inks, specialty plastics, and performance chemicals and intermediates. Polymers and fibers, the product groups formed in 1999, became Voridian's two core segments in 2002. Voridian uses the cost leadership business level strategy, while the differentiation strategy is used in the Eastman Division, primarily to continuously develop innovative products. In 2003, developing business became the third division in ECC's multi-divisional structure. Soon after its formation, this division had 20 to 30 projects in the pipeline in various stages of development. The purpose of creating this division was to provide a unique environment to leverage Eastman's technology expertise, intellectual property, and know-how into business models that extend to new customers and markets. Developing business focuses on service businesses that are less capital intensive compared to the products that are the mainstay of the Eastman and Viridian divisions. Next, let's now move on to the financial control. Financial control are largely objective criteria used to measure the firm's performance against previously established quantitative standards. Accounting-based measures such as return on investment and return on asset, and market-based measures such as economic value added are examples of financial controls. When using financial controls, firms evaluate their current performance against previous outcomes as well as their performance compared to competitors and industry averages. In the global economy, technological advances are being used to develop highly sophisticated financial controls, making it possible for firms to more thoroughly analyze their performance results and to assure compliance with regulations. Next, strategy and structure growth pattern. As the small firm grows larger and becomes more complex, managerial and structural challenges emerge. Firms' larger sizes dictate the need for more sophisticated workflows and integrating mechanism. So, let us see the diagram. In the first diagram, there is a simple structure. following by sales growth coordination and control problems. Next is financial functional structure, sales growth coordination and control problems, and multi-divisional structure. There are three major types of organizational structure. First is simple structure, second, functional structure, and number three is multi-divisional structure. First, simple structure. The simple structure is a structure in which the owner-manager makes all major decisions and monitors all activities while the staff serves as an extension of the manager's supervisory authority. Typically, the owner-manager actively works in the business on a daily basis. Informal relationships, few rules, limited task specialization, and unsophisticated information system describe the simple structure. Frequent and informal communications between the owner, manager, and employees make it relatively easy to coordinate the work that is to be done. The simple structure is matched with focus strategies and business level strategies as firms commonly compete by offering a single product line in a single geographic market. Local restaurants, repair businesses, and other specialized enterprises are examples of firms relying on the simple structure to implement their strategy. Second is functional structure. Functional structure is a structure consisting of a chief executive officer and a limited corporate staff with functional line managers in dominant organizational areas such as production, accounting, marketing, R&D, engineering, and human resources. This structure allows for functional specialization, thereby facilitating active sharing of knowledge within each functional area. Knowledge sharing facilitates career paths as well as the professional development of functional specialists. However, a functional orientation can have a negative effect on communication and coordination among those representing different organizational functions. Because of this, the CEO must work hard to verify that the decisions and actions of an individual business functions promote the entire firm rather than a single function. The functional structure supports implementation of business level strategies and some corporate level strategies with low levels of diversification. And the last one is the multidivisional structure. The multidivisional or M-form structure consists of operating divisions, each representing a separate business or profit center in which the top corporate officer delegates responsibilities for day-to-day operations and business unit strategy to division managers. Each division represents a distinct, self-contained business with its own functional hierarchy. As initially designed, the M4 was thought to have three major benefits. It enabled corporate officers to more accurately monitor the performance of each business, which simplified the problem of control. It facilitated comparisons between divisions, which improved the resource allocation process. And it stimulated managers of poorly performing divisions to look for ways of improving performance. Active monitoring of performance through the M4 increases the likelihood that decisions made by managers heading individual units will be in shareholders' best interest. Diversification is a dominant corporate level strategy in the global economy, resulting in extensive use of the M-form. Next is using the functional structure to implement the cost leadership strategy. Firms using the cost leadership strategy want to sell large quantities of standardized products to an industry or a segment typical customer. Simple reporting relationships, few layers in the decision-making and authority structure, a centralized corporate staff, and a strong focus on process improvements through the manufacturing function rather than the development of new products through an emphasis on product R&D characterize the cost leadership form of the functional structure. Next is here is the sample of functional structure for implementation of a differentiation strategy. As we can see in this diagram, marketing is the main function of keeping track of new product ideas. New product R&D is emphasized. Most functions are decentralized, but R&D and marketing may have centralized staffs that work closely with each other. Formalization is limited so that new product ideas can emerge easily and change is more readily accomplished. Overall structure is organic. Job roles are less structured. Next, using the functional structure to implement the differentiation strategy. Firms using the differentiation strategy produce the products that customers perceive as being different in ways that create value for them. With this strategy, the firm wants to sell non-standardized products to customers with unique needs. Relatively complex and flexible reporting relationships, frequent use of cross-functional product development teams, and a strong focus on marketing and product R&D rather than manufacturing and process R&D. As with the cost leadership form of the functional structure characterize a differentiation form of the functional structure. Here is the diagram of functional structure for implementation of a cost leadership strategy. As we can see in the table, operation is the main function. Process engineering is emphasized rather than new product R&D. Relatively large centralized staff coordinates functions. Formalized procedures allow for emergence of a low-cost culture. Overall structure is mechanical. Job roles are highly structured. Thinking globally, acting locally, the foundations of Procter & Gamble's multi-divisional structure. Well-known CEOs Jeff Immelt, Meg Whitman, and W. James McNerney may owe their current success to the skills acquired during their employment at P&G or Procter & Gamble, which is known for its excellence in managerial training. Using the functional structure to implement the integrated cost leadership differentiation strategy. Firms using the integrated cost leadership differentiation strategy want to sell products that create value because of their relatively low costs and reasonable sources of differentiation. The cost of this product is low relative to the cost leader's prices, while their differentiation is reasonable compared to the clearly unique features of the differentiator's products. Next, matches between corporate level strategies and the multi-divisional structure. Chandler's research showed that the firm's continuing success leads to product or market diversification or both. The firm's level of diversification is a function of decisions about the number and type of business in which it will compete as well as how it will manage the businesses. Geared to managing individual organizational functions, increasing diversification eventually creates information processing, coordination, and control problems that the functional structure can't handle. Thus, use of diversification strategy requires the firm to change from the functional structure to the multi-divisional structure to develop an appropriate strategy or structure match. That's all po for my report. Thank you.